Kako Aʻiaʻi Ia and Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh. I'm Aʻiaʻi and this is such an incredible time to be here on this planet. I am Hawaiian and my family is from Maui, but I'm also Chinese, Filipino, Spanish, and I wish to convert to Islam or to revert to Islam. And a few short months after, on October 7th, there was an event and something that took place. And, my world was already changing very quickly. And that just kind of speeded it up. So, to start with, I was born and raised here, but I went to study abroad in Spain. And while in Spain, I was exposed to Islamic Spain through architecture, through custom, through everything. And even prior to that, I had learned about Islam somewhere in school, and I memorized them because I thought that was so cool. But I had the opportunity to be at home and not work earlier this year and the end of last year due to an illness and a condition from a spider illness. But it allowed me something I had been wanting to do, which was to read the Quran. And so as I got into that, my Islam was rekindled. and and had difficulty with the pain medication and all of that. And I found that by listening to the prayers and the Quran, it brought me a lot of peace. And eventually, there's so many different things in my life that have pointed me toward Islam. And so I decided to do my Shahada and convert to Islam. So here I am, a Hawaiian Muslim in Hawaii, trying to find her community, but I can't drive, so I haven't really been to the mosque yet. Um, and I'm learning the prayers, send out all the letters and read them half coherently, even though I'm not sure of everything that I'm saying. But then the news broke with what happened in Palestine. And I say Palestine because I was in Palestine, and I was in, quote, supposedly I went to Israel in 2008. But I did spend time in Palestine. And, there are many different things that stand out in my memory from that journey. Um, but I also, in the back, I can remember things while I was growing up, like Patty Hearst and the Palestinian Liberation. And I know that I knew the story. How they just created an Israeli state out of land that didn't belong to them. And so back to what happened in Hawaii and what happens in Hawaii, of how our land is taken, given away, sold, built upon without our consent as Kanaka. And so it really hit home after having reverted, and seeing the news. I work in the healing arts. I worked in the healing arts for like 45 years almost. And when you see the kind of violence, and it always seems to be because we think, oh, women and children, but it's not only women and children. It's men. It's they're destroying everything, everything, as if they're to erase any possible memory. A few days ago, I saw a picture of the mosque in Gaza, and I remember seeing it when I was in Palestine and thinking, what an incredible backdrop of the Mediterranean, and and it impressed me back then. Oh, I just, I had like this stone in the pit. I had like this stone in the pit of my couple days, um, because things disappear, and things disaster. But that just really hit home. It was like, how could it disappear in front of my eyes? You know, for every Palestinian out there, first of all, know that there are in Hawaii who support you and who stand with you in solidarity. We're fighting for our aina, for the land itself, and we have to come together. It's happening so that we have a common base to come together. On. Um, in Palestine, quote Israel. You know, we went into Palestine with one of the Shema of olives, and he took us in, and immediately we were welcomed. A very, very warm, genuine welcome. Until then, we were hosted by the Messianic Jews. And although we were welcomed, it was a very different kind of welcome. And so my time in Palestine, in Hebron, and the events that had occurred there, those are the memories that I bring with me. And now when I listen to the children and of everybody, I'm not only listening to people in Palestine, but listening to Jews around the world who want nothing to do with the Zionists. I'm looking at the United States, who has screwed us over big time. And when the missionaries came to Hawaii, they were also received with open arms. And then look what happened to all our land. It's all gone. We recently had a horrible fire and disaster, and Biden made a comment that, oh yeah, it's like a fire thing. People lost their lives. They lost everything except with back, and we're fighting and stand strong and for the brothers and sisters in Palestine as martyrs. You know, I know that there's a place for you, and we will continue to pray for you even now, um, as the prophecies become fulfilled. See, that's the thing, right? The prophecies are there and they're being fulfilled, and we see this happening, and we might not like it, um, but acknowledge the fact that you came to the Mona when we needed you. Palestinian flag on the Mona. There were also Israelis who came to, but we were told don't fly that flag, and so it didn't. So please know that we carry you in our hearts as well. It's 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 so hard to articulate um, the emotions and the feelings, but in Hawaii we say we are not just from the land. We trace our genealogy back to the land, and a very, very clear genealogy. And so thank you for standing with us, and know that we also stand. We're having a big rally on Sunday, and unfortunately, due to medical conditions, I won't be able to attend. However, there is goals of how we can take this and understand this. You know, it has given me strength My heart has been broken a zillion times with each person and each person that has each attempt at genocide to erase the people. When you are bombing schools, hospitals, institutions that make up the country, that's really bad. Something that stands out in my mind is when it rained and they tried to prevent the children and the people from catching the rain for their needs as well as drinking water. In Hawaii, vai is water and it's everything to us. And if you don't have water, you don't have anything. And to think that even imagine and presume that they had a right to water and that are falling from the heavens, you know, that water belongs to Allah. To Allah. It is not it does not belong to the Israelis. Difficult for me to talk about these things. So I think what we need to keep in mind, China fires and with what is happening in the world, humanity is at a very, very, very crucial point, and it is of awareness for those who have not been aware. It is a time for those who are sitting on the fence to get off the fence and to choose a side. And I did a 24 in December, and there are two things that stood out. One of them, see everything happening in the world, the good things, the bad things, the natural disasters, because there are going to be more issues about health like COVID and things like that. All of that depend on how pono we are. And the word pono is how Emily, what is the word for pono? What is the word for pono in English? It
Correct
has to do
or
with
right.
correctness. It has to do with being one in mind, body, and spirit. It has to do with honesty and truth, and it does have to do with God without um, and that when we are pono, we will be able to handle those quote situations or disasters, and we will be able to carry on and continue. There are a lot of cycles that will be ending this next year, and there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of good things awaiting people who have constantly given and worked really hard. But if it's not, and if that's not what is coming to us, we still have to deal with it. I I I have a condition that's very non-treatable. Everything is experimental. My life came to a screeching halt. I just wanted to know why, and now I'm getting the answers. And yes, but I think it's because I honestly sought the truth. Um, that's gonna make the difference of how we see things, because a lot of people see what happened to me as so horrible, and believe me, it was painful, it was bad, but what but what is came out of it and what is still healing from it outweighs outweighs what I went through and what I'm going. But the other thing that came out in the insights were were as people to act on our awareness as we become aware of situations where we can act, where there's a right to be difficult. It might be way easier not to rock the boat, or not to speak the truth, or not to do what needs to. But the importance of acting on our new awarenesses and our new knowledge, and as we become aware of different things, is of utmost importance in our lives, but to humanity. A lot of times people there's so much emotion involved in everything that's happening, and it's really hard. We're very sympathetic, but um, how do we deal with this? We have to take a step back. We have to take a step back from the emotion. We have to look at overall. We are seeing the worst that humanity has to offer, and we do know how. And we do know how to live better. We do know how. And if we allow ourselves to become depressed and sympathy and empathy and sadness, it actually makes it worse. All of humanity together. If there's one part that gets weakened, which is what's happening there in the middle there in Palestine, um, the rest of us are wrong. We need to continue with what we know is the good life. We need to continue to pray. We need to continue to seek life. We need to continue to work. We need to continue to socialize. Um, and it's not because we're forgetting what's happening, but because we're balancing out the energy on this planet. We're balancing out that negative energy from humanity by doing positive things. And there are but many people are sitting on the fence. You know, already, already the situation has forced people to come forward, has forced people, and um, but there are still those who are sitting on the fence. And so the stronger that we are in our beliefs, and it doesn't matter whether you're Muslim or you're Jewish or you're Christian, and believe to be pono, what you believe to be right, what you believe that God wants from you, what Allah has pointed out to us. Because as we live those things, the good energy will abound. Balance that. And a lot of times we see our enemies and I've been in situations where say, well, don't pray for them. We don't want to pray for them. Who are we? If we never pray for them, they might never change. Might never change. Might never get better. They they might just take over. So prayer is so important, and that's kind of been my role for a long, long time. I only became more active on the Mauna because I was invited in. But normally I just pray, and the leaders they call me and they say pray for this or what about this, and I just pray. And we can never have enough prayer. But we are here to live. We are meant to live, to live life, and we have our abilities. And that is why humanity, I mean, you almost feel guilty, right? For knowing that that's happening over there, and oh, what? So I'm going to go out with my family and I'm going to have a nice time, or I'm going to do this. We're meant to do as well. We're not meant to um just be so sympathetic that we stop living our lives. In
So,
many ways, no.
yeah, I remember a few times. I don't think Bisan was the only one who said it, but there were people who were asking, the journalists in Gaza right now, documenting, what should they do, or like, talking about survivor's guilt or just feeling guilty for the safety, like the privilege of safety that we have. Um, and and they were saying the same kinds of similar things of, obviously we need to be activated but also like life is so um fleeting in a way. So
It is.
it's so short, and that, being faced with how you said, the worst of humanity, um, forces you to also acknowledge how important it is to like be present, and enjoy what you can enjoy and be activated and, moving and building how you need to be. But um, you gotta have all the things, both the things, in order to
What
make a
can we
difference.
do? We can be the best that we can be. If that is the worst of humanity, how can we live our lives so that we are reflecting the best that humanity has to offer? Okay. I mean, there are a zillion charities you can give. Obviously, that money, but then there are things that money can't buy. Money can't buy. Money won't. So if we're working on ourselves and we're working to be the best that we can be, that's the off, and that is huge. It might not seem very tangible, it might seem like, oh yeah, but how it might not help them directly, but we have to understand that island, we are not alone in this, and they are not alone in this. And you see them asking for help and asking and saying, where are my brothers and sisters? Listen to a little thing that said, I'm ashamed of the other Muslim countries that did not move, in the ICU. And it's like, um, so where, where in our lives, how can we be better people to offset that? One of the other things is, to build that awareness is share what's happening over there. I mean, I know people, have family members, and anything that comes on Fox News, anything that comes on CNN, the United States puts out. I mean, talk about major propaganda. Talk about major propaganda that put out major propaganda as well. Um, this is where we have the ability. This is where we have the ability to look at it and pray. You know, um, it's very hard because a lot of times the people who choose not to do anything, they'll just accept whatever the powers be doles out and says, okay, that's what it is, because they don't want to rock the boat. But you know what? You cannot live life rocking the boat. If you go out on a boat, the boat is gonna move. And if you're lucky, you have good weather. And if not, you're gonna have those those whatever it is that's happening, like in San Diego. That's what is it? It's the earth. The earth is trying to balance itself out because of all of the abuse. And so that's kind of where humanity is. So we need to try to balance out humanity, give money. And don't just give a little bit, give until it hurts. Are you capable of giving until it hurts? Are you capable of doing without your Starbucks? Are you boycotting all those, so much is being revealed there. The international economic webs that exist. It's, I mean, it boggles your mind. Just a few people have so much power, but but it enlivens your heart. Thousands and tens of thousands and a million people take to the street to say, stop killing. It's not about religion. So it doesn't matter whether you're Jewish or Kanaka or Christian or Muslim. We are wrong. And we all know that what's happening is not right. And we need to act on that. That's acting on an awareness. You know, if you never knew that was happening, learn, you know. Um, but make sure that what you're listening to is not just the biased version. You know, the Palestinian struggle has been there decades, and it only gets attention in the U.S. when things like Patty Hearst was accused of being, aside from that, a lot of people didn't even know the whole story what happened. Make it your business to know what happened, so that you become more educated in it, and share those, you know history, no matter what is recorded, no matter, it's all subjective. There's no objective form, but we have the responsibility, the kuleana, to go seek the truth. And so if you want to know what you can do, you can do that. You can donate money. You can be the best you can be. You can continue to educate yourself. You can to other people. You can show up at rallies. Um you can just pray. And that those things might seem they're enough to fill your life and to fill your time. But at the same time, be happy, be joyous, Robo, and we have no need to feel guilty because we're not. Because the only people who need to feel any kind of guilt are the people dropping those bombs.
It's like the that phrasing, that principle that grief and joy can coexist. Um, and of course, we see that on the news. We see that on all of these streams that are going out. That even amongst all of the massacres, that you got kids doing backflips in the refugee camps, and you got um, petting their
Yeah, because
cats
life
and
goes on, right? And those are survivors. And those children, man, I take my hat off to them and I bow down to them. It's like they are resilient. And we all know, I used to be a high school teacher. We all know children are resilient. Circumstances. They have that desire to live. And so they do whatever they can, you know, or you see them like wanting to get in front of the camera and be interviewed, and it's it, it doesn't just coexist. It's the flip side of the single lesson that mankind is here to learn. We opposites are really complements, and it's so that we know where not to go. We know what is not appropriate. We know what is not good. And so, yes, they do exist. And when you face hardship, it can be the tiniest thing that will bring you so much, because everything else is kind of knocked out of the arena and set to the side. And it could be the tiniest other circumstances you would never appreciate, but that you can, count your blessings not there. Love your loved ones even more. Take the time to tell them that. Spend time with them. Do good things. There's endless things that we can do, and we might not think that it directly impacts them. It does. It because we cannot cut ourselves off from humanity and say we're not no longer a part of humanity. We actually are, whether we. I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't want to belong to the human race at the moment, but that's not a choice that we take. And so, you know, I wanted to share. My is, I think it was long coming. Um, one of the women who I was speaking to, you know, she told me, okay, so, if you know that, then, what are you waiting for? And I said, well, I guess it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time and trying to figure out things, and I'm so glad that I figured it out. Um, you know, I cannot I cannot tell anybody what to do. I cannot, I don't do hardcore like trying to convince anybody to do anything, but I do know that, the people who know that I belong to the LDS church, and you know, there are those people who went and they started to research and learn about Islam because they realized that they knew nothing, and all they wanted to know is why I converted, you know. And for me, I converted because it makes sense. I converted because it allows me to embrace my Hawaiian spirituality, the Christian spirituality that I understand, that universal common knowledge, the universal truth that are out there. A while, for about 15, 20 years, I've been following this guy Sadi, a Christian Sufi, and he's an Aramaic scholar, and he rewrote the Lord's the Beatitudes, and it doesn't sound anything like what we know them to be in English. And it's because, in Hawaiian, we have this thing called kauna, where words have another meaning that's not the literal apparent meaning. And in the Semitic languages, as I understand, they have like 5 or 6 different meanings. And so, like the word jihad, I have always known the word. I didn't know it as like a terrorist attack or anything. I understood jihad to be your daily struggle in life you know, that struggle within, that struggle to always in a world where you have so many distractions, so many things, and your jihad is that fight that you do with yourself. It's a struggle as you struggle to be pono, as you struggle to do the right things. You know, and it really, really is beautiful. It embraces the universe. It embraces the movement of the planets. Tell me that at Hawaii, when we take the time to observe, and we look at the equinoxes, um um we look at what our ancestors were in tune to, and a lot of us and start to seek the truth and that understanding. We're not just us. We might be the only humans, but we're not the only creations or living things on it. And it's to me, it's really, really beautiful, and it satisfies a lot of questions I had, that I no longer have. I'm just trying to live in a non-Muslim and non-Arabic country. Slowly find my community here. Ramadan is coming up, and I have understanding, but I stand in very, very much gratitude. There are these women who have been um, teaching me the Quran, teaching me how to read Arabic, teaching me how to pronounce Arabic. And by their very way that they encourage you, I'm learning what it is to be Muslim. I'm learning how, um, and so I continue to learn. I sense I'm like preschool. I'm not even Papa Malao yet. I think maybe when I get some more prayers under my belt and I go through the first Ramadan, maybe up to Malao or the first grade. But I'm just learning, and it's been a long road. It's kind of hard. It's like in the very beginning, I couldn't even get the hijab to stick onto my head. And even it's like it moves, and then I don't know how it's supposed to be, and my clothes, and then the hospital, they have to access the pick line. It's just one thing after another, and and Filipino and Hawaiian pork that you eat. And now I'm not eating that. And those might seem like little things, but it's where we choose, we choose what we do. And all you guys who know me, I love to cook and stuff. So yes, if you want to eat a nice Middle Eastern food, come visit with me Ramadan and help me break my fast, and come have a meal with me, and talk story. Never ending. There have been so many indicators for me to journey. Um, what can we do? We can see ourselves as part of humanity, not just Kanaka fighting for our own causes. A lot of the things that have happened, we might never get them back. We might never, it might never be done to our satisfaction. And, healing to me means that you move on. And, when we stay in the same selfish, and when you know and you choose to do evil, that's your choice. But that's the pono-ness of it all. You know, how pono are you? You know, it's like, so you call yourself a Kanaka. Do you exude aloha? Do you not? You know, you know. Um, I try to tell you that I do that 24/7, and I think that whenever we try and we make an honest effort, it's we can accomplish with diligence. But you know, free Palestine. The bombing has to stop. And it will stop. It does. The world will be a different place already. But you choose where you want to be in that world. Are you still in your own little world? Are you still just following the powers that be? The other one, it's going to ruffle your world, and it's going to be hard for you. Um, or did you already choose that, and then that you're wrong, so you're just going to follow them anyway? I mean, there's reasons, and we all have to find our path, and we all have to do what we can. Some of the things that you can do, you know, and in Hawaii, somebody is always fundraising for one thing or another, and there's those of us who always buy from whatever those little kids are that are selling and stuff. The only thing I don't do is give money to the fishnet guys, because I don't think the kids should stand on the intersection. But you know, can we give until it hurts? That's a test for ourselves. That's a question for each of us to ask. No. And where 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 are we? Where do we stand? Are we being the best that we can be to offset the balance? We're coming into time. I have my card that says Ho'olu Ho'okahi. It's the expanding conversion, right? And that conversion is represented in so many ways. That's the people coming together, but it's also us understanding that in the human experience, you know, the opposites are to show us the parameters, and show us the extremes, and to show us what we can choose if we choose to do so. but it's the cover and acknowledging and the good and the bad and the ugly that we increase our knowledge, we increase our light and increase our light. Then there's more light in the darkness, you know. And wherever there's po, even in the po ele loa, there is light. The Kabbalah teaches us that there is those sparks of light, and we come here to reveal that light. And all of these are trials, and we are accountable. I'm not accountable for what I can just cheer her on when she's doing something that I think is really good. But I'm accountable for myself and what I do, and so when I see people who are pointing fingers and blaming and doing things like that, it's like, do you really not have anything better to do in your life than that? Um, and that happens everywhere. That happens to Kanaka, who we are not we are Kanaka, but we are not immune and free of all of the ills of Western thought and Western world. And so you take an honest look at yourself and ask yourself, where what am I living? Am I living? Do I live kapu aloha? Do I have that kapu placed on myself? Or am I just koko and my actions and my words don't show? You know, I see when every time you take a step, the light, it's like the what is that scientific thing? For every there is an equivalent and da 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 reaction thing, something
Yeah,
like that.
for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
And so the way that works with knowledge is like when you take you see the counterpart, and you realize that you can choose that counterpart, you know and I pray that um as I listen to Jewish people around the world, and as I listen to other people in Muslim countries like Yemen, who has like no money, and yet they were willing to put out whatever military force and money and whatever that they had of what was happening. You know, our lifestyle is very different than countries, and I'm finding that out right now. It's kind of to be Muslim in a you know, but you know, but oh, and you're open and you just keep trying to learn. Slowly things work out, and you still end up learning. You end up learning, and sometimes you end up learning way more than you thought you were gonna learn, and really exciting.
Do you have any like insight or reflections on just what's happening in Hawaii specifically and just the surprise, I don't know if it's surprising, but the surprising struggle to have a more like clear and unified uh voice out of Hawaii that there should be a ceasefire and free Palestine.
Yeah, I honestly, I was kind of like disappointed and wondering, why are why aren't Hawaiian people responding more? What has happened to us is with the land. Our land was taken. They came in as missionaries, and then now who owns the majority of the land, or who's in possession of the majority of the land in Hawaii? Um, and I believe that for some of us, as there is still so much hurt, and we have not healed from that hurt, and so we cannot look beyond our own. That's one thing. But we have to we have to know that we healing is moving on, not just waiting for like the wrong to be unwrong or to be undone or to have that it might never happen in your lifetime, but you need to who you are and where you stand power to do that. But we need to stand with Palestine. We need to stand because as Hawaiians we know what is pono. We need to stand with Palestine because as we know that life is sacred. We need to stand with Palestine because the wrongs that are being done to them are grave and it could tomorrow. We need to stand with Palestine because unfortunately Hawaiian is still under the jurisdiction of the United States in so many ways. And by second, the United States more and more hated by more and more around the world. And for those people who pride themselves in Americans, those who are saying, I'm American, I'm proud to be American, but my goodness, Biden has to do this, has to stop. Yeah, get off the fence, take a stand. And so yeah, and Hawaii is made up of all who currently live and reside in Hawaii. And if we understand the meaning of Ohana, then we know why we need to support Palestine. Sisters, um, you might not personally know all of them, but they're good, kind, generous people, God-fearing people. What can I say? Um, um, they're like us. They like to eat, you know, and we need to come out and show our support, and our brothers and sisters on that side of the world. This will be the only issue where we're going to be called upon as humanity to stand together. You know, the powers that be, the old guard, they're kicking and fighting, and at the moment they have the weaponry, they have the arms, and they have our money, all the money, all you guys out there who pay taxes to the U.S. who whatever. Yes, they have our money, and look what Biden is doing with it. You know, you might you might not want to be an activist, but write a letter to your representatives and your senators and those people. Be an activist. I'm gonna be an activist for the next 3 months, and I'm gonna write letters and call everybody I can possibly call. Then go back to your life if you haven't been changed into where you wanna continue to do that the rest of your life. But my thing is, I think Hawaii people don't have much experience um, dealing with the Islamic culture and about even what Islam is about. So, you know, Islam is about that they believe in just one God, and that God is a creator or the mother, because God is so great that there's no gender. So we as humans are not his children, we are his creation. And universe, he created the planets that spin in the sky. He created all of those things that when we look up at night and we contemplate the constellation, when we sit out there at a sunset and watch the ocean, when we sit at home and watch the rain fall and listen to the drops on the plants outside our window. He created that. He created that. Your loved ones, your children, your friends. He created all of them. All of them. And he tells us that that's all you need to do. It really is to become Muslim, is to understand that. Pray. So I think we all know what that is. Um, we're asked to pay a zakat, kind of like a tithing, and to give to the poor. And it's actually really good for your health as well. But to fast and to give up those things, and that's something that we do for Allah. It's his. It's not, we're not doing it for, it's not, we're not doing it for anybody else except him. um and then if you have the means to do a pilgrimage to Mecca, I have my eyes set on that, but I need to heal first, but those are the things that we believe. We believe in angels, and the angels have a crucial role. So get to know, you know, know who's doing what, who can help you. Um, but but make an effort to know an apartment building, and there's this Muslim family over there, but you just kind of just look at them when you pass by and make an attempt to know them. That's what we can do in Hawaii. You know, in Hawaii. How we stand together, right? If they're just perfectly stand together because we have something in common that we're fighting for, and that is our jihad. We're all fighting for our daily life, just trying to get by, just trying to move forward, and that's um. So there really are a lot of things that we can do, but is if you didn't know at all what Islam is, and Allah is not a different God than the God that you believe in. It's just Allah is the word God in the Arabic language. So even Christ, when he's in Aramaic, he would call God Allah, you know, Allah, you know. So when you look at it like that, that's what that is. It just kind of turns him off. We believe in Jesus. We believe in Mary. We just don't believe in the exact that the Christians believe. Um, because really, do you really think as a human somebody else can save you? Save you. Put forth the effort to save yourself. You know, we are granted a brain that we know that we don't know all the possibilities of how we use it. And this is not to belittle Christ. I was a Christian for many years, a very, very devout Christian, and I have a very personal relationship with Christ. And that has changed into perspective, um, semantics, words, and things like that. And that happens with us a lot. The word akua doesn't necessarily translate into the Western word God, and yet that's what was used, and that's what is used, but is now being clarified a lot through many different efforts. That's just a tiny little tidbit. And if you want to know who Muhammad is not the God. Muhammad was the prophet that the Quran was revealed to. And so he is revealed because he's said to have lived that God wants us to live. So he was the exemplar. And so, your stories. And, for you Hawaiian people, okay, I went to this celebration of Muhammad's life. And they did was to recite Muhammad's genealogy, which I think was awesome, right? Because how much importance do we put on our genealogy? Can you recite your genealogy? Um, um, I just thought that that was so cool. And if you want to know if you're Christian or Jewish and you don't know where he comes from, you remember didn't have children. Okay. And then they prayed and then they prayed and prayed and they had one. But in the meantime, take another wife so that you have posterity, right? So anyway, he did, and so that was Ishmael. That was the child, and it's from that heritage that the Islam into the Abrahamic um, religions. So in that sense, um, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say the wrong things, but those are my understanding. Don't blame anybody if one of those things I said is wrong, or I didn't articulate myself clear enough. But it's a journey of learning, and that's what our life is. So if you don't feel like your So if you don't feel like you're learning, go learn. Go learn. Go learn. Come learn. Um, and I think that's all. But free Palestine. Free free Palestine. Palestine. And in that safe sovereign Hawaii. And make sure that before you fight like crazy for sovereign, that you are already a sovereign person. You cannot have a sovereign Hawaii filled with people who are not sovereign in their own right. Are not sovereign in their own right. Sovereign in your own right. To me, it means knowing, knowingly making choices and being aware to assume those consequences and deal with those things. I don't feel like my sovereignty has ever been continue to make those decisions. I might not like the consequences, but I'm sovereign. Sovereign. Yeah. Sovereign may vary. And that's okay too. But
Sovereignty with it's like
what?
it's like sovereignty. Results may vary.
Results and explanations, definitions may vary, but you know, but we love you, Palestine, and we pray. Not the only one who prays in Hawaii, but I know that there could be more people, you know, and just like my friends from church went and they researched Islam because they didn't know, because Palestine is around the other side of the world. And maybe this is the first time in your life that you're even hearing about it. If I gave you a map, could you find it? Could you point it out right away? That's geography in eighth grade wheel at Wailua, because we virtually don't know. But mahalo for listening and for being here. And
Do you want to close out
Palestine
with a
will
prayer?
always be free. What?
Do you want to close out with a prayer?
A prayer?
Yeah. Any kind or a oli.
In what? Um, um, I can end with something. This is from Auntie Pilahi, and it was given to me by Auntie Lani Kalama. And it is a reminder of values that we share and we have in common with other people around the world. So the first one, akahai, um, is gentle. Lokahi is to be one, to have unity, to be in harmony rather than in constant. Olu is, the thoughts precede the words and the actions. So if they are not nice, then don't think and don't do. Then ha'a is our rank in life, to be humble. Um, and even when the world gives you can still be ha'a ha'a. And the last one is the hardest one, for big P word. It's ahonui, and that's patience. And sense, in this sense, that's what we have to apply that to this happening in the Middle East. Ahonui, but you know what comes out from ahonui? Lanakila, which is the victory. And so this is it. Akai na lo kahia kulike olu kamana o ha kulana ahon wia lanaki alohai 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 and Allah Allahu Akbar. Ashadu an ashadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashadu an abduhu rasul. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmid. Maliki Yawmiddin. Dua iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Ahui ho, magsanama.
Thank you for everything you shared. Thank you for
Thank you for this space to,
yeah.
to share. There's so much happening, and I hope that even if just one thing that I said makes a difference to you, or comforts you, or gives you something else, then my kai. But let us stand with our brothers and sisters at this time. It's like accompany them in their grief, living your life to the best possible way that you can. Mahalo nui, Emilia.
Mahalo, Auntie. Love you so much.
Don't cry. Like Kuya Kuya song, don't cry. Oh,